All right, welcome to this edition of Bitcoin Brief with July 17th, Thursday, and we've got Tone Vays, our Bitcoin educator consultant on the show, and we have Jimmy Song, our resident Bitcoin, all things tech, programming, big expert in all things technical. And we've got a lot of headlines to discuss today. It's been a very hectic week. Tone, let's start with and I'm New York-based journalist Christine. And Tone, tell us what's going on your end of the world.
Oh, good. That doesn't look like New York behind you, Christine.
in the yeah.
Oh no, Christine is frozen.
All right. So I'm running out of space on my wall here to add the number of days in quarantine. It's not looking good as more and more states are shutting down. It's becoming rough. I wanted to start traveling soon. At the least, wanted to go to Texas for BitBlock Boom. We'll see. And swing by Austin, of course, visit Jimmy and many other people. We'll see if that still happens. And then was hoping to leave the country at the end towards the Q4. But we're all going to find out. It's getting really frustrating.
Yeah, it's
hey, Jimmy,
crazy.
What's going on your end?
Well, yeah, I mean, things are shutting down more. It's kind of like these waves of quarantining or something like that. I'm not happy about it. I think there's no easy way to save face for all of these government officials that have locked us up for the last 4 months to get out of it without looking terrible. So they keep locking us down, hoping that something will change. Yeah, so it's not a great situation, but other than that, it's been fun, like going to the gym and doing things like that, which is allowed here.
Awesome. And as Tone pointed out, I may not be right in the city right now. I'm quarantining in the wilderness where there's fresh air, go fishing, etc. And just trying to enjoy life away from the city a bit, but still keeping track of the headlines. New York rents are going down, though. A lot of people are escaping the city, so I'm joining the exodus among very many. So with that, let's start with the headlines capturing our attention right now. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we've got our first story, which is 2 OneCoin promoters found dead in Mexico. So 2 promoters of a $4 billion crypto exit scam OneCoin have been found dead in Mexico. 2 promoters of a major cryptocurrency exit scam OneCoin have been found dead in Mazatlan, Mexico. Oscar Brito Ibarra and Ignacio Ibarra, 2 major OneCoin promoters, were apparently kidnapped and killed in Mexico, according to Cointelegraph in Spanish. According to the report, the 2 men were promoting OneCoin as a payment method for a local car firm, the Latin American automotive marketing company. The terrifying news was first reported by major Latin American publication La Tercera on Saturday. According to the report, the bodies of Brito and Ibarra were found stuffed into suitcases and dumped in a vacant lot. According to examinations, the 2 men were apparently killed by suffocation. All right, let's start off with Jimmy. When you heard about this, what was your reaction?
Well, I mean, it's horrifying that they were suffocated and killed, like in Latin America. But this kind of what happens when you piss off the wrong people, and I mean, this is something that I've been fearing for a long time in this space, because there are so many obvious scams. If you end up scamming the wrong person, I mean, they're not going to be very happy about it, and it might get to this point. I've actually been surprised that more of this stuff hasn't happened. Not that I want it to happen. It's just I thought this would be more prominent or more common, just given the types of people that you generally deal with. But I mean, in a sense, it should be sobering to every altcoin person or everyone that is doing anything that sounds scammy. You know, you might get killed, and hopefully it becomes sort of a deterrent. About the only thing that I would say could be a good outcome of this thing.
Right.
I guess I'll just jump in here, and yeah, I'm with you, Jimmy. But and here's the problem. There's multiple.
Because she's gonna come over here.
There's multiple issues to deal with on this one, and one of them is, did these promoters know that OneCoin was a scam? Now we're assuming that they did, because the OneCoin scam was so blatantly obvious. But also the majority of the people involved in OneCoin actually had no idea they were promoting a scam. So it all starts there. You need to really understand what the hell you are promoting.
Okay, which one
now this is where, sorry, I muted you, Christine. So this is where a lot of the other things kind of fall apart or fall into place. Over the last, this week, I tweeted out, my thoughts about Cardano. I tweeted out my thoughts about Link. I tweeted out my thoughts about like crypto.com, and I would say 99%. I don't want to say 100%. I'm sure there was one or maybe two. There was like hundreds of replies, but all of these replies are anonymous Twitter trolls. And here's the thing: if you're an anonymous Twitter troll, you don't matter. You think you matter, even if you have 20,000 followers, but you don't. You just don't matter. You can either choose to be anonymous and stay that way. But if you're going to want to be anonymous and famous, that's not going to work. The only way you can be anonymous and famous is if you build something like Bitcoin, or you run the organization called Anonymous. Like, you have to have a ridiculous global presence. A few 100,000 followers on Twitter actually still makes you irrelevant if you are an anonymous personality with some crypto in your name and some shitcoin as your logo. And because this is what happens when you actually promote nonsense without the anonymity, because this is how you end up being held accountable. Now, this is not how I want people to be held accountable. And this is where I get accused of being a statist, because here's the thing. I want to prevent scams. I want to prevent OneCoin from starting. I want to prevent all of these shit coins from starting, because they are not that different than OneCoin. Most of the shit coins that you are promoting are no different than OneCoin. But this would be the end result if there was no rule of law. So those that call me a statist and say that, well, let the free market work, this is what your end result is going to be. This is also the free market at work when you do not hide behind a layer of anonymity. And this is what happens when you promote a scam. And it's a very unfortunate incident. And I'm with Jimmy. I'm surprised there isn't more of these that we have heard about. And not just in OneCoin, in coins that are in the top 100 of coin market cap still.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary story. So local cartels may have been involved in the murder. About 140 people in Argentina were scammed by CLA by the end of 2018, with some of them having lost up to $400,000, according to the report. The bodies of the two men were found a few days after a trip they had taken through Mazatlan, Mexico. And citing a report from the USDEA, Laticera suggested that the murders could have involved local cartels that increasingly deal with cryptocurrencies to launder money. So OneCoin is known as a major crypto exit scam alongside famous crypto scam BitConnect. The Bulgaria-based firm purportedly still remains fully operational to date, despite investigators' allegations that it raised 4 billion euros or $4.4 billion in a Ponzi scheme. So definitely an ongoing investigation and something pretty scary out there, and just don't shit coins, as they say. Our next story is IRS enlists Coinbase in latest crypto tracing deal. So the IRS has become the second US government agency to license Coinbase's cryptocurrency tracing software, Coinbase Analytics. On Wednesday, the tax agency agreed to pay the cryptocurrency exchange up to just over $200,000 over the next 2 years for use of its newcomer blockchain analytics program, as per publicly available records found on Block. The pair have been working toward a deal since at least April. At the time, the IRS said Coinbase's offering had capabilities that are not currently found in other tools on the market. Coinbase's blockchain tracing rivals Chain Analysis and Elliptic have both worked with the IRS in the past. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong has attempted to downplay the significance of his firm's government ties. On July 11th, in response to community pushback, he argued on Twitter that blockchains are traceable whether his firm does the job or not. CoinDesk revealed on July 7th that Coinbase closed its first government contract worth nearly $50,000 with the US Secret Service in May. And as Coinbase looks to go public later this summer, it's interesting that they are getting these contracts in place with government agencies, which could make them look a little more attractive to investors in the institutional side. But Jimmy, I wonder, what's your take on Coinbase getting cozy with the IRS?
Well, the delete Coinbase hashtag should start becoming popular again and again and again. Look, this is a problem of leadership, and Brian Armstrong has shown some of the worst leadership for a crypto CEO. I continue to refer to him as, imagine Jeff Bezos hating online shopping with the biggest passion known to man. That's what Brian Armstrong thinks about Bitcoin, basically. And I know everyone is saying, well, we need to decentralize, we need to decentralize, we need to decentralize. No, you can't decentralize. These are the kinds of services that are just not decentralizable because people don't understand how decentralization works. What we have is a problem of leadership where he doesn't want to stand up for his users. He doesn't want to stand up for what Bitcoin stands for, which is to try to remove this kind of control from government on our money. And he's out there building spying software and profiting from it, completely going against what Bitcoin stands for. Now, Bitcoin itself doesn't care. I am proud to say I have never in my life used Coinbase and have tried to talk people out of using Coinbase. And I saw this from day one. Like I mentioned on the show many times, the first blog post I ever wrote in my life talked shit about Coinbase, and that was back in early 2014, very early. So again, everyone should have seen it coming, and just get out of Coinbase. Don't use it. At least Jesse Powell and Kraken always tries to stand up to these government thugs trying to get at their private data of their customers. But Brian Armstrong is like, he's not even like happy to turn it over. He's knocking on their door, begging them to buy it. That's just bad.
Yeah, it appears the IRS is getting closer to Coinbase, and there is that lawsuit going on where they are getting the financials of users on Coinbase. Jimmy, what's your take on this partnership?
Yeah, so the thing about Coinbase that you have to understand is that they are a VC-funded company. And what VC-funded companies have to do is they need to continue to grow. If at any point it looks like they're going down, or if something looks wrong, if they're not achieving sort of escape velocity to get into the public markets, then they more or less die. And a lot of companies have died. I think WeWork is the latest that we've seen, but there's a lot of companies that kind of get into this trap. And the thing about Coinbase is that they had spectacular growth from about 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, all the way up to about 2017. And then they started to stall. And this was because of the bubble in 2017 that brought in a lot of users. I think at one point it was like 20, 30,000 people a day were signing up for Coinbase. But at that point, like, where do you go, right? Like, they raise around, but then the metrics are going to look much worse in 2018 versus 2017. So as a result, they started doing stuff that was kind of unethical. I mean, they've always been kind of doing stuff that was unethical, but in 2018 in particular, they started listing all sorts of coins that didn't matter as a way to generate revenue, as a way to continue creating escape velocity for their IPO or whatever.
Jimmy, but in addition, they lined themselves up against Bitcoin. They lined themselves up against their biggest and most profitable user base, like their high net worth individuals. They lined up against them with actually, well, maybe not the highest, but they lined up with Bcash and all the others. So they basically alienated like the channels like this that could have continued to I mean, like, look, if they were doing things right from day one, we would have talked nicely about them, right? I just had the CEO of LVL on a show last night. I know you are involved a level. I know you're involved with that company as well. And they are also a regulated US financial institution. But there are, I'm hoping that you guys will be doing things the right way and not, and versus not, which is why I had them on the show. I would never, ever have, Brian Armstrong on this show, even borderline suggesting to promote his business. So they alienated their base. And that's
they absolutely did. And that was part of the escape velocity thing, right? Because they supported 2x in large part because they wanted to be able to control the narrative and control Bitcoin so that their company could grow. And in a way, this is kind of what happens with VC fueled growth, is that you have to sacrifice everything, all your principles, in order to grow as fast as you can. And that often happens. And kudos to people like Jesse Powell who are resisting that as much as they can. But this is part of it. This story about the IRS is that they need another stream of revenue, and this is an easy kind of no-brainer tech that they can create. They hired a bunch of people from analytics firms and things like that failed in order to be able to do something like this. And they're doing this so that they can go public and have multiple streams of revenue, and they can always be growing. And unfortunately, like, Brian kind of sold his soul to the devil, many years ago, in that he pursued growth at all costs instead of sticking to his principles. And that's unfortunately the way of the world when money gets involved. And unfortunately, that's I mean, this is why Google's no longer, don't be evil, like, and Facebook, similarly with Facebook and many others, is that when you kind of get to this like grow at all cost mentality, you end up sacrificing pretty much everything else. Christine?
Sorry, my connection goes in and out.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, it does appear that Coinbase is getting cozy with the IRS, and they are going the route of more institutional investors, getting bigger, joining with government agencies. And so it is a paradigm shift for them in terms of not being more independent and going mainstream and in favor of a centralized, or building more of a centralized government. Our next story, speaking of more centralized governments, Beijing unveils plans for blockchain-based government. Customs, cargo, finance, and real estate are getting a blockchain revamp. So the local government of Beijing released on Thursday a blueprint of its plan to implement a blockchain-based programmable government. Why it matters. This is the first time China's capital city has laid out details of how it will implement blockchain in its operations. The details, the government's main goals in the plan are to build a blockchain-based unified framework for digital governance, facilitate data sharing between agencies and businesses, and enable cross-departmental and cross-regional collaboration. In the 145-page blueprint, it lays out only the first steps in achieving the most ambitious blockchain project in a megacity like Beijing. The city wants to reap the efficiency and trust benefits of blockchain-based governance, but also become a global hub for the development and application of distributed ledger technology. Deliberation to select the 12 application cases to spearhead the project began in November, just weeks after Xi Jinping's speech. And we have a list of Beijing's 12 blockchain application cases. It will involve municipal, commercial bureau, airport, international logistics, blockchain platform. It will
Christine.
All right.
link finance it for SMEs. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you're
property management. All right. I'll start with you, Jimmy. We just spoke about the IRS getting cozy with Coinbase. This is next level times 10. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so China's been, playing with blockchain for a while. I think Xi Jinping was saying something about blockchain technology. And as we know, government bureaucrats are usually like 5-10 years behind on technology, and it takes them a while to really learn, really get into anything. And unfortunately, they're into this blockchain, not Bitcoin meme from 5 years ago, and that's what they're going with. This nonsense has pretty much already been played out in places in the U.S. and Europe, but it's still sort of new in China, and that's what they're doing. I know, for example, that there were proposals in various countries to use a blockchain for real estate and things like that. There's a reason why none of them have panned out or have been implemented. It's because it's completely unworkable. You're trying to create a decentralized, centralized thing, and that's essentially the equivalent of a square circle. There's no way a government wants to give up control, for example, of registries of land and make it quote unquote decentralized. But that's blockchain is sort of like the new buzzword, and they don't, and it looks like a safe way to explore this crypto space without getting into all the seedy parts of it. So that's sort of their strategy, or that seems to be the direction that they're going. But of course, like, because China is still a communist country, there's whenever the leader says something, everyone just sort of has to humor the leader, regardless of how unworkable it is. And it looks like this is what they came back with. And yeah, it's a train wreck on its way. There's probably going to be a lot of people that are humiliated as a result.
Wow. Just further on the article, just to give you some context, just 2 weeks ago, Beijing announced its plan to become a global hub for blockchain technology by 2022. Over the leadership of Xi Jinping over the years, we've just seen these huge visionary projects coming into place, and this is just another one of them. This project is one of 11 cities across China to release official strategies based on the technology. And they're going to have a talent training system, set up dedicated blockchain development parks. Tone, what's your take on this big ambitious project?
I actually don't have a problem with this whatsoever. Yeah, my view is very simple. Do they have a scam coin? And the answer is no. So right off the bat, I'm finding this project a lot more interesting and credible than, say, a Cardano or anything else that created their own money, because the Chinese government already has their own money. So clearly, whoever is building this understands that this, well, I mean, they call it a blockchain, but whatever the hell they call it, they understand that this blockchain doesn't need its own native utility token. So off the bat, this project is a lot more credible. Can any government use an update in their communication, in their database technology? Of course, Estonia was one of the leaders in this, 10, 15 years ago, when they did a what is now a blockchain before Satoshi's white paper. They implemented this prior to Satoshi's white paper, and everything they did was basically what we're calling a blockchain today. I kind of missed that a while ago, like a few years ago. We covered the story where someone built a plugin for your browser that would automatically convert the word blockchain and replace it with a giant Excel spreadsheet with a lot of admins. That's basically what this kind of is. So I don't have a problem with this. Look, it's an update of their database technology. Hopefully, it'll make their country more efficient. Is this political in any way? I don't think so. I mean, they're using a buzzword as a blockchain, but who cares? Look, I'm all for an upgrade of your database system, whether it's the government or your banking system. Like, I'm sure companies like Chase Bank are still using horrible old databases. When I worked at Bear Stearns, we were using this database called Sybase. Jesus Christ, I don't know how far back, maybe, but Sybase was a nightmare. We didn't have Oracle there, but at least when we switched to SQL Server, that was so much better. But yeah, look, database technology is old. It needs an upgrade. You want to call it a blockchain? I'm okay with that. It's all about, are you going to have a scammy utility token? And they don't, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, well, I think this just shows a difference between the United States and China and their leadership styles. I mean, Beijing is setting up a huge plan with a goal, with resources, with training. And that kind of leadership I just haven't seen from the United States. And if we don't have that kind of vision and that kind of leadership, I could see things falling behind technologically speaking in the US. The next story we've got is the one that everyone's talking about, capturing all the headlines and news. It's the Twitter hack, and the block gave a good timeline of events, how this hack came about. So a wide array of Twitter accounts were compromised in a massive attack on Twitter. The attack started with the takeover of the account of one of BitMEX's leading traders, Angelo BTC. Over the next 4 hours, at least 30 high-profile Twitter accounts were affected. A wide array of Twitter accounts owned by popular figures, large companies, and crypto exchanges were targeted on Wednesday. The accounts in question, which include the likes of former US President Barack Obama, reality TV star Kim Kardashian, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, and entrepreneur Elon Musk, were used to post Bitcoin giveaway scams. Twitter disclosed that the hacker was able to compromise some of Twitter's employees with access to internal systems and tools, and then change the email addresses associated with those accounts. So that first tweet
Christine?
Yeah, her internet was good last time. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with her internet.
But we can start commenting on it. I'll jump in on this. Look, a lot of people are confused. Look, Twitter got hacked. Bitcoin didn't get hacked. The hackers are asking for Bitcoin because they know Bitcoin's valuable. And as Andreas Antonopoulos pointed out, the hackers are using native SegWit, which is kind of impressive, actually, because I don't even use native SegWit most of the time. And so they're pretty sophisticated. And the thing is, I kind of question the numbers. Just like with a lot of these ICO scams, you don't really know, just because the just because, let's say, 20 Bitcoin went into an account, you don't know how much of that 20 Bitcoin is being scammed out of people versus how much of that Bitcoin is being funneled in there by the scammers themselves in order to drive hype of the coin. This is what I also suspected with like Richard Hart and Hex, where, oh my God, people are buying all this Hex. But I always suspected that a lot of that Bitcoin going in was either his own or his friends that were going to get that Bitcoin and Ethereum back, but it would generate demand from other people. And yeah, they went after interesting accounts. And I know some people would have definitely got caught. And I mean, it's not good. It's not good for, it shows you that the security in our space is lacking. But once again, a lot of people are now going to start investing in these scam coins because somehow some high school dropout that barely would have graduated college has a decentralized solution to this Twitter problem. And in reality, they don't. These companies just need better controls. And with Bitcoin being out there and with all of these ransomware and more hacks like this, it will just make these companies take their security and the security of the data more seriously.
Yeah, this was interesting because it was much more like on Twitter's side, and it looks like because of the accounts happen to be the most popular accounts on Twitter. I think Barack Obama, Elon Musk, things like that, people like that. You know, it suggests that there was some sort of like admin interface attack or something, some root access or something like that. And, you know, I pointed out in my tweet a couple of days ago that, you know, this is exactly how the dollar works. There's somebody with root access and they get to do whatever they want to the dollar, and that's called the Federal Reserve. And you may think you own your Twitter account, but you actually don't. There's a database in the back end that somebody can go and manipulate. And this is exactly what you're doing with altcoins too, is there's somebody on the back end that can go manipulate the database. You think you own these altcoins, you actually really don't. And that's the sad reality of it. Anyway, yeah, all that is to say that this hack is a good lesson for a lot of people to learn about, you know, the dangers of centralization. I'm hoping for, you know, better products that are more decentralized to come along. I think Lightning has some really good potential to do that. I can see, for example, some sort of decentralized Twitter running on top of Lightning, for example, since every node is, you know, its own master. You can basically have an application that does something like that. They already have something like that with, you know, private end-to-end messaging. There's, you know, it wouldn't be very difficult to make something like that. That's kind of like Twitter.
I'll just throw one more thing in there. And what I tweeted out about this saying, look, the only account that matters to me, the only password that matters to me is my Bitcoin. Everything else, I can have a new Twitter handle. I'll get my Twitter handle back. You can delete my YouTube channel. I'll either get it back or I can start another one. Like, everything else is replaceable. Everything in your life, not everything, digitally, anything digital in your life is always replaceable except one thing, your Bitcoin. Just protect the Bitcoin. This is not, now that the world has Bitcoin, these things to me are no longer a big deal at all.
I will also note how go into how the hack transpired. So it first hit the crypto community, a lot of exchanges, a lot of people in the crypto sphere got their Twitters hacked first. Then the first notable mainstream person who got hacked was Elon Musk, followed by Bill Gates. It went to, you know, just a couple of addresses, 1, 2, 3, about 4. And the last targeted celebrity was Kim Kardashian. Kanye got hacked. Barack Obama we had mentioned, address A, B, C, just with those addresses have been affected. Taking a look at some of the reporting on this, we spoke to 2 hackers. This is from Vays, and we were able to independently verify they were in control of hijacked accounts today. One of them said they paid the Twitter employee to help them take over accounts. Not sure on the specifics at the moment. So this is also a strange development. Where they bribed? Was someone at Twitter bribed? Were they paid? And this also comes into the sphere of, it wasn't the users who made these messages or had their passwords or accounts compromised themselves. It was the fault of Twitter. And so when you hand over control and admin powers to a company like that and gets out of your control, we run into issues of centralization versus decentralization. So
I'm sorry, see,
before
we move on, within 24 hours, Vays was able to have direct contact with the hacker who told them what happened. Like, does that seem weird to anyone else? Like, we're still debating whether Russia hacked the U.S. election 4 years ago, and here's Vays, one of the biggest hacks in history, and they're on the phone chatting with the hacker within 24 hours. Like, does that seem weird to anyone?
Does seem very weird, yes.
And it remains to be seen. Is this real? Like, how sure can they be that their source is the real hacker? Because they're not the only ones talking to these quote unquote hackers. TechCrunch is also saying that they talked to a hacker named Kirk, who here in this story, a hacker used Twitter's own admin tool to spread cryptocurrency scam. And according to TechCrunch, they say this hacker by the handle Kirk had initially been involved with selling Twitter, desirable Twitter user handles, had access to the admin tools, and just kind of went crazy with it in taking control over these high-profile VIP user accounts. But in Vays's case, they were speaking to a supposed hacker who said that they had paid someone to, like, the quote that they use here is, "We used a rep that literally done all the work for us," according to this quote unquote hacker. The second source added that they paid the Twitter insider. Motherboard granted the source's anonymity to speak candidly about the security incident. A Twitter spokesperson told Motherboard that the company is still investigating whether the employee hijacked the accounts themselves or gave hackers access to the tool. So still, it's still very unclear who these hackers were, who's talking to who, which one is telling the truth. Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
My very quick comment. I'm gonna jump ahead to Jimmy real quick. I hope this Twitter employee got paid very, very well, and I hope he got paid in Bitcoin, because he's not gonna have a very good rest of his life.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like a social attack. But there are better articles than this, Christine, on the actual hack and what happened, because apparently access to certain accounts was posted on certain Tor websites and dark markets a few days before all of this happened, and then it just sort of blew up from there. It was somewhere, it cost something like $1,000 in Bitcoin in order to go and get a Twitter account and so on. So the social engineering attack happened maybe like a week ago, and they were able to get access to things. And again, this is what happens when you have centralized honeypots like Twitter, and that's, it's unfortunate for this employee. They're probably not going to be in the security space again, but it is what it is. I think Christine's frozen again.
Ah. All right. What was our next story on the docket? I gotta check our agenda here. Yeah, we have a lot to cover today. Oh yeah, Jimmy, we're going to your neck of the woods. We'll do a screen share once Christine comes on. So a Texas man that runs a Texas barbecue joint got $1 million in government funding to pay for his employees, or however PPP works. Even though, because I didn't take the money, and used it to trade. So use it to trade crypto. So like we ran into the story in our in the legal law group that I had, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, what does this have to do with crypto? And the answer is nothing. Like he could have used that money to literally buy horse manure, because the law was broken by not paying the money to the employees like they were supposed to. But it looks like Christine's back. Tell us a few more details on the story.
All right, so Texas man's alleged use of PPP funds for crypto instead of barbecue has feds asking, where's the beef? So a 29-year-old Texas man is in A1 trouble after being charged Monday with siphoning nearly $1 million in payment protection program loans meant for a barbecue company into a cryptocurrency trading account. So what happens when you get a windfall of money from the government? Of course, in this man's case, he funneled it into trading crypto. Joshua Thomas Argures received almost $1 million for Texas barbecue and allegedly transferred those funds into a Coinbase account where they generated a profit by investing in crypto, according to a criminal complaint sealed Monday in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas. The complaint didn't disclose the size of the alleged profit or which cryptocurrencies were allegedly traded. Now, of course, the PPP loan is meant to pay for your payroll of these restaurants and these retailers so that they can continue operations business as usual amid the COVID pandemic. USPS investigators discovered, however, that Texas Barbecue had no documented employees, no online reviews, and no bank account until 4 days prior to the loan request, according to a criminal complaint. Aguirre suggested that Texas Barbecue's Coinbase account was how employees were paid, saying, I don't really manage the aspect of the business. Investigators assert Aguirre's had exclusive control of the Coinbase account, and Texas Barbecue never had any employees to pay. Charges against Aguirre's, who allegedly collected more than $1 million in fraudulent PPP loans total, include wire fraud, making false statements to a financial institution, bank fraud, and engaging in prohibited monetary transfers. In addition, for his Texas barbecue loan, Aguirre has also received PPP funds for a company called Houston Landscaping, oh wow, which also had no employees, the complaint reads. And the PPP records indicate a Texas barbecue with identical information to Aguirre's outfit received a loan from Primeway Federal Credit Union in Houston. Primeway could not immediately be reached for comment. Jimmy, you're our man from Texas. So when you heard about this complaint, you must have been quite, well, let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with government programs, right? And the thing about the PPP loan program, or really it's a grant program, because apparently if you pay employees with it, you don't have to pay the money back. So it's really just a subsidy to these businesses that really ought to be going out of business. Instead, they are being semi-socialized by the government, giving them money. So there's a lot of fraud there, right? And you can apply for these PPP loans, and essentially the government told everybody, hey, if it's under $2 million, we're not going to scrutinize it very much. If it's over 2 million, then we're going to actually require you to provide us with documentation that you're actually paying employees and so on. So what this guy did was, okay, well, if that's the case, then I'm going to get over $1 million and say that I'm paying my employees, when in fact I am going to go and trade on Coinbase. And that is indeed what he seems to have done. And yeah, this is the reality of government programs, is that whenever you have free money available, there are going to be people that are going to use it in an unintended way. In a sense, the rules that they set up, weren't rigorous enough, or weren't put in a they didn't have enough controls around it. So you have people like this that end up abusing it, and that's exactly what's happened. So I suspect that more of that will be going on, or more of that is happening already. Not necessarily like depositing money to Coinbase, but depositing, or just people keeping it for themselves, or doing something else with it, because it's a lot of money out there.
Yeah, this is really bad on all fronts. Now, the government is at fault for having this program to begin with. What I've been saying from day one is the better way to solve this problem is to allow people not to pay their bills, not hand people money to do what they want with it. The next guy will just be a little smarter. For starters, he's not going to use Coinbase. And maybe $1 million for a company that doesn't exist was a little bit ambitious. If he had gone with a smaller amount, this might have not made such a big news headline. And yeah, if you fill out the right paperwork, you can get a lot done. I never even filed for unemployment. Jimmy, did you?
No.
It sounds like we both could have. But
well, I'm still employed, so technically I can't.
Well, you're self-employed.
No, I'm technically an employee at Blockchain Capital still. So.
Oh, okay. See, I am fully self-employed, but yeah. Anyway, this is just like, look, the government has this is a horrible program, but at the same time, like the government doesn't really want, they want this money out there. Like they're trying to stimulate the economy. They're trying to pump the stock market. They're trying to, prevent more civil unrest by handing out money. So the only reason why this is even a headline and this guy got arrested is because A, he was using Coinbase that is now knocking on the government's door, voluntarily divulging this information. And two, he asked for a little too much money. So those that are doing this, clearly illegal activity, I don't think the government really cares, because their goal is to get as much money into circulation as possible. And I don't know how much they care whether you are scamming the government or not. The mentality of this person is no different than the mentality of anyone creating their own shitcoin. You feel that you can abuse the system by taking the money that you feel is yours, or you just create it.
I think from the government's perspective, they feel that they have a lot of checks in place, so that if you do try to take money and you are using it for illegitimate purposes, it will be taken back to you from you, and it will be charged. And we've seen that in the case of large restaurant chains like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and there are others that just escaped my mind at the moment. So, and it's supposed to be done through the bank, your local bank, and they're supposed to be one of the obstacles and one of the checks before you get one of these funds. And apparently it is difficult if you don't have a good relationship with your bank. So my thoughts are that with the government, they're looking at these loans very carefully. They're scrutinizing them. And if you do take them for illegitimate purposes, they will take it back from you and charge you on top of that.
I doubt.
I just want to go back.
I doubt they would get many people. I think like probably at least 60% of the people that will take these fraudulent loans will never be held accountable.
And that's the thing. It's they're probably putting this story out there as a deterrent to other people. That's the extent of their enforcement. It's they prosecute like an obvious one, and that's it. They're not gonna do anything else.
Just quickly going back to Twitter as well. We do have. I saw some tweets from people in the crypto community looking on the positive side. I believe this unfortunate incident is a net positive for crypto. This is from CZ Binance, who also got hacked. It raises awareness for the need for stronger security on internet platforms, something we, the industry players, have been asking for a while. It also educates the public about how not to fall for online scams, even if your favorite idol asks you to donate for transfer funds, verify before you send. It is, regardless, a massive advertising campaign for Bitcoin. How often do you get all of these famous accounts tweeting about crypto? Albeit, we all wish they had tweeted about Binance Academy. Okay, so a net positive from Binance's angle.
Sorry, before you go to Vitalik, if you just go back to there, exactly right. So again, I like the message. I hate the messenger. So if you scroll up a little bit, the tweet that you just removed, there you go. It also educates the public about how not to fall for online scams. Comes from a guy that invented his own money with a BNB token, right? Like, again, this is the, like, he doesn't see himself as being a scammer selling an unlicensed security. And this is the same thing. Like the guy that took the money for a non-existent Texas barbecue joint for $1 million doesn't think he did anything wrong because the government is handing out money and he feels he's entitled to the money that the government is printing. CZ falls in the same category. He feels that he's entitled to just print unlicensed securities and his own money out of thin air because the government is doing it. I like the message. I'm not happy with the messenger.
Yeah, and you know, he also took PPP money, so who knows if he's paying employees or not.
I forgot about that part.
Vitalik's tweet saying this attack could have caused serious damage. I'm actually glad a hacker motivated by Bitcoin profits got to the attack vector before far more nefarious actors seeking to leak private data, manipulate stock prices, manipulate elections, or start wars did. So of course, a lot of security experts saying that, well, the guy asked for money, he got just over about 100,000 grand in worth of Bitcoin. But this could have been a tweet that would move markets. Elon Musk is known for doing that. He said, you know, Tesla stock is too high, which tanked the stock, his own company's stock. Or if a president's account, but Trump's account is under lock and key under more difficult circumstances on Twitter. But if a figure like Joe Biden or Barack Obama were to announce some sort of policy change that could have some national consequences. So I guess Vitalik aligning himself with that line of thinking among security experts that at least this was just a small petty grab for money and nothing more consequential to the markets or domestic policy overall. Tone, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Vitalik is kind of right. Again, not happy with the messenger, but when he says the hacker could have caused, you know, serious damage. Yeah, I mean, maybe he might have a point with like the election. I mean, had this hack happened like the day of the election, you don't really want Elon Musk tweeting out, you know, who he just voted for, which, as I learned, is technically illegal. You're not supposed to sway the election if you are a influential personality. You're supposed to let, you know, people decide for themselves. So I mean, that could have been something. I don't know how much private data people have on their Twitter account. I do not have a check mark. I'm not a verified Twitter account because Twitter demands an unreasonable amount of personal information, from your social security number to your date of birth to pretty much everything, in order to give you that check mark. So I never wanted to hand that data over to Twitter. So people really need to think twice before having those check marks. They're not worth it. Your reputation and your follower count should be enough. So no, I think as it stands now, Ethereum has caused way more damage than this hack, like infinitely more to society and the world, even up to this point, and just wait till it actually implodes. Just being the number one platform in the world for scams has caused more damage than this hacker could have ever done. So again, the message seems okay. Messenger, terrible.
Well, I mean, his message was basically, I'm glad that it wasn't worse, which I think pretty much anyone would agree with. but yeah, it's a little bit ironic given given the amount of scamming that he's already done, and like and the hacks on his platform and so on. So in a sense, like the attacker could have caused more damage, but it's more illustrative of what motivates hackers, and really it's something much more banal than trying to disrupt the world, which is money. They just want some money. That's really, they want to monetize their hacks, and not necessarily start a world war or anything like
that. We also have some reactions from Joe Biden, one of the hacked accounts. I don't have Bitcoin and I'll never ask you to send me any. But if you want to chip in to help make Donald Trump a one-term president, you can do that here. And so, I couldn't imagine.
I really thought this was like the hacked tweet. I read this yesterday. And when I tweeted out, I'm like, is this like Joe Biden's real tweet or is this the hack tweet? Yeah, it's let me not get too political on the show, but one of the reasons I own Bitcoin is to protect my assets in case someone like Joe Biden gets elected. So hold on to your Bitcoin. Don't send to him.
Yeah, he's like there are several tweets like this where people are sort of riffing off of the hacked tweets. So I think Wendy's had one where they were like, if you send some amount to this random address, and it's of course like it's all about like their products or something like that that's in the string. That's basically what's happened. But yeah, it's become a part of the national consciousness now that this hack has happened, because so many people pay attention to Twitter.
Yeah, and for this PR campaign for Bitcoin, it costs just over $100,000. If you did fall for the scam, you could think of it positively in that regard. Next story, we've got the path to Taproot activation. So Taproot, everybody wants to have it. Somebody wants to make it. Nobody knows how to get it. And briefly, Taproot is that neat new thing that gets us multi-signatures that are just one signature in length, that are privacy. Activation lets devs get back to work on the even newer stuff, like cross-input signature aggregation, block validation, other things like that. So yes, let's activate Taproot. But the biggest problem with activating Taproot is PTSD from the previous soft fork, SegWit. There's a companion piece I'll mention to this, follow up to that Reddit. Taproot, everybody wants it, but you ask yourself, sure, everybody else wants it, but why would I, sovereign Bitcoin holder, want it? Surely I can be better than everybody else because I swapped XXX fiat for Bitcoin, unlike all those non-coiners. All right, so Jimmy, you're our tech guy. Take it away.
Yeah, so this is Taproot. We all want Taproot, but yeah, there is sort of like a lot of hangover from the last soft fork activation, which was SegWit 3 years ago, and we know all the drama that went into that. In fact, Tone and I increased our audience by like 10x during that time for that reason. But trying to figure out a path to activate Taproot is a major problem, because if we use BIP9 again, we have the same problems as last time. The miners might hold the soft fork hostage and do something like that. Not to say that they necessarily would this time around, given the lessons that they learned, but that is a possibility that you have to prepare for just in case it does happen. And from a technical perspective, you want to have the fallbacks to be reasonable. So BIP9 activation helps the network all prepare. The only thing is that sort of miners thinking that they have a veto or something like that, which you want to prevent. BIP8 is the alternative, and that would mean that essentially at the end of the 1 year period, it becomes sort of like a user activated soft fork. Just, it upgrades anyway. That's the fallback instead of reverting to not having the soft fork at all. So there's a combination of both that seems like the path that a lot of people want to take, which is you try BIP9 for a year, and then you have 6 months of discussion, and then you go back, and then ultimately, if people want to go forward, you just go with BIP8 and do that over 24 months, something like that. So it's possible that it could take 3.5 years to activate Taproot.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. Like that's too long.
Well, I mean, that's the worst case scenario, Tone. If everyone agrees, then it gets through in like less than a few months. But if there's contention, then it could take up to 3.5 years.
I think if there's contention, it should still only take a year and get this damn thing in there. Because we've been talking about this for 3 years already. Since the last soft fork, we've been talking about Taproot and Schnorr, and what else is in the soft fork? It's going to be pretty heavy as well. It's not just Taproot.
Well, it's Taproot. Schnorr is a big part of it. It's a new SegWit version, but there's a lot of stuff that's been separated out. And if you look at the first post, it talks about all the other stuff that we could get on top of Taproot or the soft forks after Taproot. These are the things. Well, first, multi-sig is definitely there, but the last bullet point there, Christine, if you scroll down just a little bit. Yeah. So cross-input signature aggregation, you get block validation really quickly. You get sig hash, any preval, possibly ops, check template verify. These are all things that that the devs can work on once Taproot is activated, but they require Taproot in order for all of that to make it. And cross-input signature aggregation in particular is hugely important because it incentivizes coin mixing. It makes it so that you pay less in fees if you're mixing your coins with cross-input signature aggregation. So in a sense, this is sort of setting up for other privacy-based things that I think everyone wants. But yeah, you want to make sure you have a path that is reasonable. And I do think like something like what's being proposed here and what's on the dev mailing list makes sense.
Now, I also want to point out that before, I think that for me, SegWit was a no-brainer. So it was for most, which is how we ended up in that dilemma, because we didn't realize that the miners and the industry wanted to collude and keep Bitcoin expensive and slow, and for multiple reasons. One, they would have more control. Two, they would be able to centralize the network. And three, which didn't happen the last time. I don't believe that the SegWit soft fork was purposely, blocked by the industry for the purposes of profiting from the shitcoins, because this was happening too early in that crazy cycle. But this time around, the motivation to stop privacy in Bitcoin is strong. There is a lot of, charismatic-ish leaders at this point that don't want privacy in Bitcoin in order to promote their alternatives, which do have privacy. So I can definitely see a big push saying, no, you don't want this in Bitcoin. You want Bitcoin to stay fully non-fungible so that the government can track it and it can be a government currency, but now buy my shitcoin. My shitcoin does all of this better. So there is going to be this push to prevent privacy and fungibility in Bitcoin by corporations like Coinbase. Coinbase is going into contract with government agencies. It's against their business model for Bitcoin to be fungible and private. So it's not going to be easy. And at this point, the miners lost a lot of respect, and give them like a 3-month window. And if they can't get their shit together, User activate fork this thing 3 months after that. Like,
well, so we have new tools now that might make it harder for quote unquote miners to take over like last time. Especially with Stratum v2, what you get is the ability of an individual miner to be able to create a template that everyone can they get to decide whether or not the version bits is flipped or not. So instead of the pool deciding for you, it's the user, it's the ultimate user instead of the pool. And that means that at that point, it might very well be that if you're a pool that isn't running Stratum v2 and you're sort of imposing a particular thing, there's going to be other pools where you do use Stratum v2 and the user gets to decide. And at that point, they'll mine in such a way as to activate Taproot rather than mine in such a way as to ignore the Taproot activation signal. So I mean, I think we're better equipped to make that work. But Stratum v2 still hasn't been fully implemented. So, but by the time I think this gets in there, it might be ready.
All right, great. Our last story is a bit of a personnel change, funding Bitcoin development. So
Christine's out again. But yeah, this story is about, Xapo basically removing themselves a little bit from the funding of Bitcoin development, in particular with core developer AJ Towns. He's actually
17.
Christine, you missed a big chunk.
You were cut out for a while.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I started talking.
Yeah, Anthony has been contributing to Bitcoin Core since 2017 after learning about Bitcoin via an interest in micropayments and Lightning Network. Recently, Anthony has been involved in several potential upgrades to Bitcoin, including Schnorr and Taproot.
So AJ's this is his personal blog, AJ's blog, and he talks about exactly what's going on and how it happened and so on. But yeah, I mean, it's a time of financial stress for Xapo, and it looks like they were funding AJ and Amity as developers for Bitcoin Core, but it looks like they no longer have the money to be able to do that. So as a result, what both of those people did was they found new sponsors. I think Amity is being sponsored by somebody else. I can't remember exactly who. But AJ is now being funded by Paradigm, which is the other piece essentially. But yeah, I think this is good for AJ. He's a very good developer, and he significantly contributed to Taproot and all of the review and all of the design and things like that. He's still involved in SigHash, AnyPrev out, and things like that. So he continues to do really good work. Amity, is doing a lot of other things related to network communication and some, I think, Bitcoin Core wallet stuff too. But yeah, they're both very good developers and fully deserving of the grants that they've been getting. It's just that they're no longer being sponsored by Xapo; they're being sponsored by somebody else.
Tone, do you want to add your comment?
Sure, I think this is great. And once again, I know I talked about shitcoins way too much, even though we didn't have specific shitcoin stories. This is what separates Bitcoin from your shitcoin that you are promoting. All of these other projects, they rely on employees from a central corporation that has funding by printing the token out of thin air. Bitcoin can't do that. That's not how Bitcoin functions. And these are the kinds of stories that will make Bitcoin be valuable in the future. But this is why, what happened to IOTA? What happened to EOS? Like, who's using this shit? No one. Like, what happened to BitShares? No one is using this stuff. None of them. They will all go away. It may not be a year, may not be two, but eventually Ethereum will go away because you will not read a story like this anywhere about your altcoin. And this is what's needed. And if I was an earlier Bitcoin adopter, this is what I would be doing. I would be financing a Bitcoin core developer because that protects 98% of my Bitcoin if I'm using 2% of my Bitcoin, to fund a core developer. And maybe if Bitcoin goes above $100,000, maybe I'll, find someone that's willing to work on Bitcoin and it wants to spend more time on contributing to Bitcoin Core. And I'm happy to finance them when I have the resources to do that, because these guys probably make 6 figures plus. And at the moment, I can't afford that. So this is what separates Bitcoin from the rest. This is what makes Bitcoin decentralized. But a lot of people just don't get it. And they don't get it. And they just, they see another coin pumping and they see a bunch of useless anonymous Twitter trolls promoting it. I swear, every single IOTA Twitter handle has rebranded to be the Link Twitter handle. And next year, they're going to rebrand the Twitter handle, right? And God knows, and they were probably EOS before that. So, and this is what makes Bitcoin unique. This is why I got into Bitcoin. This is why I believe in Bitcoin. And your shitcoin project cannot compete with this. It fundamentally can't. When the billions of dollars from the EOS fund run dry, and they will, the project dies. All of them will. They have no clients, they have no customers. The only customers are the ones who they are paying with their token. That's it. All right, I'm done with my rant.
All right. With that, we're gonna go on to some technical analysis with the mempool. First, I'll show this. Jimmy came up with this interesting chart here: top fiat currencies by market capitalization. It sort of compares all the different currencies against Bitcoin, and
well, is Bitcoin on the list?
Oh, yeah. The Bitcoin is on the list. I think it's like 20 something or 34.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. But yeah, I love how the max supply is unlimited for every single one. And you can, like a Danish kroner is 1,679 sats, and so on. But it's kind of amazing if you scroll up to the top, just how much money there is in yuan and dollars and euro and things like that. And there's like a steep drop off, I think, after 4. If you look at the difference between 4 and 5, it's actually like, over a billion Bitcoin to under 500 million Bitcoin, right? Like is the Great British Pound. So
yeah, I'm going to the site now. It looks really cool. Where is the next crypto? How far down?
I don't think it's even on there, to be honest. But yeah, these are all fiat, obviously. So yeah.
Well, Ethereum is on there. It's a fiat. It has unlimited max supply. It should be.
That is true. That is true.
Who built the site? Who built the site?
I don't know. I somebody sent me the link, so I wanted to show you guys.
Hey, if someone is watching that has access to the site, they should add at least the top 10 cryptos, just so people know that the max supply is unlimited. Like it's the second highest, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, but the Korean won is 9 sats.
Wait, well, what does that mean? Oh, the price of 1 Korean won.
Yeah. Korean won is like in at least 1,000. So yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I know, this is very cool. I like it.
All right. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Christine. Yeah. So you can see the same daily pattern that's happening over and over, which is that on a daily basis, it tends to go up. On the weekends, it tends to clear. It looks like we're gonna head into the weekend pretty soon, so we're gonna probably clear over the weekend. But right now, there's a lot of transactions in the mempool. You're going to need to pay 50 sats per byte if you need to get it in the next block or so. But if you're willing to wait a few hours, then 10 sats per byte is probably plenty. If you're willing to wait overnight, I'm going to venture like 5 sats per byte is going to be enough. And if you're willing to wait over the weekend, even 1 sat per byte will probably clear. That's the mempool. My book, Programming Bitcoin, is available on Amazon, as is my other book, the Little Bitcoin book. This Programming Bitcoin is for developers. Little Bitcoin book is for your no-coiner and pre-coiner friends.
Excellent. Thank you, Jimmy. Okay, and with that, we're going to go on to price analysis with Tone Vays. I see the markets have been all over the place today. Now they're kind of modestly up, flatlining on the Dow. Take it away, Tone.
Yeah, let's take a look, guys. This site is great. When you pulled it up, I went to it. So people in the live chat are saying Ethereum would be number 63.
Oh, wow. Which tells you that there's a lot of crappy fiat currencies out there.
Be public.
Tone, are you? Yeah, now Tone stalled.
We lost Tone. He's just coming
and,
back.
And we lost your video. Not anymore. Okay, Tone's back. I think your screen share didn't work.
Oh, I think the screen share kind of crashed the Zoom. Yeah, I was just saying, like, people in the live chat are saying that if Ethereum was on the list, it would be number 63. So it would be like right here between Croatia and what is HRK? I actually don't know. I don't know what country that is. DOP is Dominican Republic. I know that. I think that's Angola.
CRC is Costa Rican something.
Oh, that's Costa Rica?
Yeah, CRC.
Oh, why did I think it was Croatian? So what's HRK?
I don't know.
I don't know that one either. Anyway, yeah, it would be fun to have like Ethereum in there. And that's where we ended. All right, quick look at the price. I don't think I'll do another video today, so this will be it. I want to start with the S&P 500. It's been absolutely driving me nuts. I have my indicators that told me to go bullish. First it was telling me to go bearish on Monday. Then they told me to go bullish on Wednesday. I would be scared to go bullish here. We are back at those levels. It's pushing higher now. S&P is rising once again towards new all-time highs because of the big correlation with Bitcoin. I'm not surprised that Bitcoin has once again started to rise. There was one day right here where the market crashed on Monday, the S&P market, but the stock market rose heavily. Meanwhile, Bitcoin kind of dumped. That was strange. But right now, we are still in all of these triangles. This is the 4-hour version. We are in this descending triangle, which is still leaning to the breakdown to go back lower and test that $8,000 zone. I still believe that this triangle has a higher probability of resolving to the statistically. Also, HRK is Croatia. Is it? No,
it might be. It's probably some Baltic state, though.
Yeah, I thought one of those.
Or Balkan.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I do think that this triangle has a higher probability of resolving to the downside, in which case we can go down as low as 7 or 8K. We are still inside this symmetric triangle. Drew it as best I could here on the symmetric side of the equation. Maybe that should drop this side a smidge. Makes it a little more symmetrical. And let's see where this candle ends. Like if this candle actually rises, then I'm still good in this symmetric triangle. Now, symmetric triangles can break either way. We have a pair of resistance areas here, the stop and reverse points and the moving average. We have support here with the moving averages, which is around 8,500. Resistance is sitting right around 93. No idea which way this will break. I'm still leaning towards more consolidation and slight hint towards a little more downside before the eventual breakout. The weekly chart has not given us anything. We got a sell signal all the way back the first week of June. And since then, it's been nothing but consolidation. We remain stuck under this trend line resistance. I continue to wait for one final breakdown to make that clean secondary low that is significantly higher than the low we had in March. So as long as we fall to no lower than 7, I consider that significantly higher. That is still 50% higher than where we were in March. And that should be the last low of 2019 before the potential for breaking above 9K and going above 10K. Quick peek at gold. I am still bullish gold here at consolidation near the high. I still think gold can challenge the all-time high. And if it does challenge the all-time high, there's a high chance of smashing through the all-time high. That's pretty much it. Just a quick peek. GBTC, today is Friday. If I was a little more bullish on Bitcoin over the next month or two, I would certainly be rushing into GBTC with this low 7% premium, which normally likes to hang out above 15%. But I still think that there is a decent chance of one more pullback. And if there isn't, I will certainly be comfortable buying Bitcoin when it's consolidating above 10K. And that's when I'll be looking for significant new all-time highs, even sooner than I currently expect. All right. That is my short run at Bitcoin. Of course, check out tonevays.com. I'm just going to go to my website real quick. A week from tomorrow, I will be doing a risk management workshop, risk and position management. Also, last night, we did an interview with the CEO of Level. Hey, Jimmy, someone mentioned your tweet, Storm, on Level from a year ago. You may want to update it because they've changed their Twitter handle and it's not $5 a month anymore. I was looking at that. I thought it was recent, and I'm like, that's weird. But then I saw the date, and it was like a year old. So please check that out if you are interested. Level is a regulated banking service in the U.S., hopefully in other countries as well eventually. And if you are interested in Level, if you're on your cell phone, you can still head over to tonevays.com, click on Level, download the banking app, and the affiliate or the discount link or affiliate link or coupon code, whatever you want to call it, Tone, T-O-N-E, will populate. That would give you $10 in your account. And that's enough to pay for your first month of unlimited trading, which costs $9 a month. Okay, advertisement over. Other than that, please check out the affiliate page. And every day, I slowly update the Learn Trading page. All these links, I'm trying to make them very, very clean. So you can click on all of these links as I continue to make this page more useful and more educational. All right, that's it for me.
Thank you for your insights, Tone. We appreciate it. That's your edition on Friday, July 17th of Bitcoin Brief. We have Tone Vays, our Bitcoin trader, consultant educator, Jimmy Song by his book, Programming Bitcoin, our guru in all things tech. And I'm Christine, a finance journalist.
All right, thank you so much, guys. And Jimmy?
Fiat Delendes, this song is done.
Bye, guys.